Hello, this is David at AppWorks again, and today I'm going to go over some really basics of FileMaker, some of the most commonly used get functions. Get functions in FileMaker, there's a whole bunch of them, and there's some that you use all the time, that I use all the time, and that most developers use all the time. And I'm going to show you some of the basic ones. If you've gone through most of our videos, or many of our videos, you've probably seen a lot of these already. We're going to go over get layout name and layout table name, get last error, get found count, get current date, get current time UTC milliseconds, last message choice, account name, username, parameter, and script result. These are all really common and used all the time. So I'm sure you've seen some of these, but maybe some of them you hadn't ever thought of how to use them. So we'll start off with layout name. That's pretty basic. So if you have get layout name, it just returns the name of the current layout that you're on. And in this case, you can see that we're actually on a layout called task tracker. Now sometimes that's not actually that useful because you can actually have two layouts with the same name in FileMaker, which is a little problematic. So sometimes what you really want to do is not get the layout name, but the context in which you are, in which the layout exists. So in this case, it's really task. So you might be on any task, any layout that has the same context, which is t __ task. So layout name might be the same for two different layouts, but they might say task as the layout name, but you're actually in two different contexts. And so sometimes in a script you want to check the right context, so it's actually more useful to check the layout table name. And so in this case, you're actually, if you go into layout mode on this layout, you'll see that the name of the layout is task tracker right here, but the table, which is the table name of this layout, is t-task. And so sometimes that's actually much more useful information than knowing what the layout name is. Also, layout names more frequently might change. So somebody might be doing some cleaning up of a file, and they actually go and they change the name of the layout. And then suddenly your get layout names step in a script no longer works. Whereas table names don't change as frequently, and you may have multiple layouts that have the same table name, so it's a more useful function. But they're both very useful. Get last error is another one that's used all the time. Usually in scripting, you might check to see if you have an error, and you might either look for a specific error number, or you might just look to see if there was any error. So I'm going to show you an example of how this works when you're debugging. So you can see on this record I've entered some text. I have not committed this record. Committing the record is if I click out of it. It now saves that record and it's committed, and other people can edit this record. While I've entered data and I haven't clicked out, I haven't committed the record, nobody else can really do anything who is logged into the server into the same file to this record. So for example, now I have this other window. It's got the same record called up, and if I try and run a script that says delete this record, you'll see what happens in the script debugger here is if I go delete record on this layout, oh, this record cannot be modified in this window because it's already being modified in a different window, meaning some other user has this record locked. And you'll see now down here, last error, 301, record is in use by another user. So you can use the get last error script step to find out what error occurred in any script. It will deliver you this number. So when you say in the in the data viewer here, you'll see that get last error shows us 301, which is actually useful information. You can look in the FileMaker documentation for error codes, and it has an entire list of all the kinds of errors that that FileMaker will return when something goes wrong. And then you can take some action based on that. You can look for specific error numbers. You can say in a script, if get last error equals 301, then do something. You can say if get last error is anything, basically. You don't have to actually look for a specific number. If there was any error at all, there will be a number. So you can say if get last error is greater than 0. So we have the response is 1, meaning there was an error. And that's actually all you need to do in scripts. So that's super useful. Get found count, pretty self-explanatory. It just tells you how many records you have in your found set. So if you're doing a find in a script and you say are expecting to have some, couple dozen records in your found set, and then suddenly you've got like 4,000 records, you might go if get found count is greater than 1,000. And then if it is greater than 1,000, then you might run some other code that says like, whoa, looks like you did something wrong. Or you might say, that's too many records, try narrowing your search or something like that. So you can see here that the result of if get found count is greater than 1,000, the result was 0, meaning it's false, not greater than 1,000, because actually get found count is only 8. So get found count is another get function you use all the time. Get current date is used probably more frequently than anything. It's often used in finds. You might do a find like give me all the records from today, or you might say give me all the records that are less than today, earlier than today. So you say less than get current date. You can say something from 7 days ago, get current date minus 7. So that shows you, find anything with a date of 1 week ago. That's overdue now. So 4/28/2020 was 7 days ago from today. Get current date is supremely useful. You will use it all the time. Get current time UTC milliseconds. So this is actually an interesting one that you might not get the utility of it until you start to want to know how your system is performing. And you want to start to do things like logging how long a script takes to run. So you can, at the beginning of a script, for example, that's running, you might say set a variable, start, and you say get current time UTC milliseconds, which is universal time code. It checks the server, and it's basically, I believe it's based on Greenwich Mean Time, and it's milliseconds after the midnight hour of the current day. I could be wrong about that, but anyways, it's enough information to know that this will give you the value of when some process occurred. At the end of your script, you can then make another variable called end, $end, and you go get current time UTC milliseconds. And now you can subtract one from the other and get the duration in milliseconds of some event. So you can see how long, for example, some script process took. And then you can log that and start to get a gauge on how performant your system is. That's actually really useful. Get last message choice operates with dialog boxes. There's another one that's used all the time, and I'll show you this one in an example here. So let's see, we have close file. So you'll see here this script, that close file, it shows a custom dialog, exit. Are you sure you want to close this file? Well, if you double click on this, you'll see that the answers that you can give are close or cancel. The default button is called close. The second button is cancel. So what you want to do is after this kind of a script step, you'll put a new script step that says if get last message choice, and there it is, equals 1. Right? So there's really 2 choices in this particular custom dialog. One is always going to be the default button. So if get last message choice equals 1 means if they chose the word close, then we want to exit, exit script or close file, whatever. You can also look for exit if last message choice is 2, which means they canceled. So in this case, actually, if get last message choice equals 2, then you do want to exit the script. Otherwise, they chose 1, and you want to close file. So that's get last message choice. Just so you know, if you have 3 choices, then this is button 3. So these are just get last message choice equals 1, equals 2, and equals 3. Pretty straightforward. If get account name and get username. So these are 2 very similar functions. They just get the name of the current user or the current account that's logged in. Now there's an interesting distinction between these 2. Account name is who logged in to the file. So in a lot of FileMaker systems, you actually have named accounts. So my name is David Weiner, and I have a named account. If you go into File, Manage Security, you'll see that there are a bunch of, give me a moment, you'll see that there's a bunch of accounts here. And here's the name of the account that I'm logged in with, David Weiner. And it's a full access account, and that's the account name. So if you run this, get account name, it says David Weiner. Get username refers to the name in the FileMaker Pro preferences. So you'll say in the general preferences for FileMaker, you can use something else for a username besides system, which is my name. But you can say, warehouse user, for example. And now you'll see that actually we're logged in with the username of warehouse. So you can see that get username is actually getting the name of the computer rather than the name of the user who's logged in. So one or another might be more useful depending on your scenario. Usually get account name is more useful than get username. But sometimes you want to know who was logged in and what machine they were logged in. If you have a warehouse iPad, for example, and then you've got a desktop machine in the office, you want to know, sometimes IT departments will name computers rather than the name of the person. It's the name of the location of that computer. And so sometimes the username is actually more useful than account name. Get script parameter and get script result are 2 of the last 2 that I'm going to cover. They work in tandem a lot of times. Get script parameter is actually more commonly used, but they're both used all the time in scripting, and I'll show you basically how they work. So get script parameter pulls in the parameter that was sent into a script. So if I run this script here, you'll see get script result. I'm going to perform a script. And I'm going to perform the script, get script parameter. And I'm going to send this optional script parameter, ABC123. So what happens is that now I fire this script and I send in this parameter to this other script. This is the script that runs. And in this script, the first thing we do is we check to see if there's a script parameter. And we use the get script parameter function. And that's its sole purpose, is to grab the value that's passed into a given script. In this case, if we fire this script, it will send in a script parameter and to this script. And now we get to here and we go, is if empty get script parameter. Well, it did have a parameter, which you can see in the script debugger. You'll see that this is the call of the script, and it shows you right here the parameter that was sent in. And so this is the parameter that's going to be received by the get script parameter function. As we run this, we see that there was a script parameter, and now we're going to display the script parameter in a custom dialog. The parameter was ABC123, and we used the get script parameter to display it. And then we exit the script, and now this is the next function that is super useful, and that's the script result. So if we exit a script and we want to spit some information out after this script has been performed, we can send exit script with a text result, and the text result can be really anything. In this case, we're going to send the script worked. Now when we get back to this other script, now we use the get script result, and that pulls the result of this first script that ran and shows us a custom dialog. And it shows us the parameter, which was the result that was sent out, is the script worked. So they're 2 sides of the same coin. Get script parameter and get script result. Both do similar things. They're a way to pass information into a script and to get information back out of a script. Those are probably the most useful get functions that you will ever come across in FileMaker. There's lots and lots of good and useful get functions, but these are the ones that I use all the time, like literally all the time. And I would highly encourage you to go into the calculation engine here and search through your functions and just search for get. And you'll see all of these get functions, tons and tons of them. They all do different things. Some of them are really obscure. Some of them are super useful. And each time you click on one of these, you'll see down here is the description of what it actually does. You can always get documentation as well from the FileMaker Claris website and tells you how all these work. So I would love to hear how people are using some of these functions and some of your favorite get functions in FileMaker in the comments below. So thanks for watching. Talk to you later.